Hi guys, this is Megan with Megan Loves Movies and TV. I'm going to be recapping The Walking Dead, Season 8, Episode 1, Mercy. Warning, this video does contain spoilers.
We are going to war!
Going to war. The episode opens up with Rick deep in thought with a few scenes that what it might look like for him as an old man. Meanwhile, the colonies, the Hilltop, the kingdom, and Alexandria are hard at work preparing for the war that's about to happen. Dwight gets a mystery message from Daryl, and Tara and Carol are doing some sort of countdown. Right. King Ezekiel, Maggie, and Rick are giving an inspirational pump-me-up speech about how their world got bigger and how they came together as people and how their world is theirs by right. It turns out the mystery message that Dwight received was from Daryl letting Dwight know that the big throwdown will be tomorrow. Dwight responds to the note and secures it onto an arrow and shoots it back to Daryl. Cut back to King Ezekiel and Maggie giving their inspirational speeches to their people, and Shiva got in on the speech by giving her roar of approval. And there were some quick scenes with Rick doing his deep reflective thoughts and him as an old man. I'm thinking we're going to see more later in the episode. The next scene shows Carl scavenging for supplies, and he starts to hear the voice of a man talking to him. Carl starts to look for him and listens to the man's story about how he hasn't eaten for a few days and he's been shot at. But Rick comes along and starts shooting and scares the man away, and Rick said, "Oh, I only shot over his head, he's fine." The mystery message exchange was Dwight giving Daryl where all the Savior lookout points are. The first lookout is a platform tree. The lookout gets shot and falls to the ground, and a walker eats him. Yay! The second lookout is a neighborhood in the 3000 block. The lookout gets snatched up by Daryl, and Daryl took the lookout's gun, which is basically a hand cannon with creepy tally marks on the top. The third lookout is at the Pays Industrial Research Facility, where the lookout gets brutally stabbed in the chest by Morgan's new and improved Aikido staff. Father Gabriel tells Rick that everybody is ready and rolling out in about 30 minutes. Father Gabriel sensed that Rick was a little out of sorts. Rick is not happy that one person was able to bring otherwise peaceful people to a war, but Father Gabriel reminds Rick that Rick is the one person that brought everybody together to fight for their autonomy. Rick and Father Gabriel both agree that the war isn't for Rick's anger towards Negan, but it's really for the freedom of their people. Tara is still keeping the countdown time with Carol, Daryl, and Morgan at the bridge. Rick kisses his baby, his lady, and hugs his baby boy goodbye. Aww. And rolls out with the rest of the Freedom Fighting Brigade. Rosita is still injured and stays behind to convalesce. Carl says to Michonne that he knew she wanted to go, but Michonne is still injured and she needs to heal. Michonne tells Carl that she will help him defend Alexandria. She also lets him know that he's in charge of everyone's safety while everybody else is away. Don't forget about Carl. Next scene is a half-charred walker tied to a telephone pole. And there's a smug-looking savior at the last lookout point that needs to be taken off the list. Pun intended. Pun intended. So stupid. Stop talking to yourself. No. Rick surprises the lookout with a knife to the belly. Ouch. The Savior lookout was talking trash to Rick while Rick was looking through the lookout's supplies. The lookout threatened Carl, and the quickest way to trigger Rick is to threaten his boy. So Rick cut the walker's line that was tied to the pole and let the walker eat the lookout. Don't make threats about Carl to Rick. Just don't do it. And then Rick crosses off the last lookout point that needed to be taken care of and signals his people. People of the 3 colonies talk to and help each other prepare for the battle. Rick talks to Maggie about possibly sitting this fight out. Then Maggie says her iconic line, "I've been fighting since the farm, can't stop now." King Ezekiel tries to lure Maggie to the kingdom because they have a doctor, and King Ezekiel also knows that the Hilltop lost their doctor, which was an OBGYN, which would help Maggie. But Jesus reassured King Ezekiel that he would get his doctor back. It seems that King Ezekiel and Jesus were fighting over Maggie a little bit because she is an asset. She's smart and she's tough, and she would be really good for either the Hilltop or the kingdom. Rick tells Maggie that the Hilltop is lucky to have her. Maggie tells Rick that he showed her how to be someone worth following. And then Rick told Maggie good, because after this, I'm following you. Back at the bridge, Tara is still keeping time for the countdown. It turns out that Tara, Carol, Daryl, and Morgan were waiting for a herd of walkers, and then that's why they were counting down the time. They all roll out because they blew up this van. The explosion was a trap to lure out the Saviors, which worked. A female voice over the walkie-talkie was telling Dwight that she wanted blood and screams and etc. Dwight replied that she might get what she wants. Tara, Carol, Daryl, and Morgan seem to be setting up some traps by wiring some cars. Tara asked Daryl how much longer. Daryl said, soon. Dwight is in on the timeline because he finished his smoke right before two Saviors on guard get smoked. Rick and the Freedom Fighting Brigade strategically set up their battle stations. Here they come. Maggie gives the signal to fire off some warning shots, and the warning shots get Negan's attention. Ugh.
Sorry, I was in a meeting.
Whatever. Cut to Rick looking tired and distressed, and then cut to Rick as an old man. Rick is walking with a cane, and then he playfully scolds Michonne for turning off the alarm. Carl walks in and tells Rick that everybody is playing hooky. Every time there is a Rick as an old man scene, Weird Al Yankovic's Everyone Rides the Bus is playing in the background. But Carl claims he didn't choose the song. Now cut back to the battle where Negan walks out and has a bit of a hostile conversation with Rick.
I'm not exactly feeling a reason for us to try throwing lead at each other.
Why not? And of course, Negan needs to talk about how awesome his male anatomy is.
I don't want to just march them into the line of fire because I want to play my dick is bigger than yours.
You always want to play that. Ew, he makes me sick. Ugh.
So, Rick, what the hell can I do for you?
Die. Rick basically tells Negan to surrender. Now cut back to the bridge where Tara, Carol, Daryl, and Morgan are waiting. Tara is worried that a walker might set it off. Now I'm thinking that the wires to the cars were a bomb, but Morgan runs down to take care of the walker just to make sure that he doesn't set anything off. Now back to the Negan and Rick standoff. Negan keeps taunting Rick about surrendering.
That sounds like a good deal.
Ew, I hate you.
What about me, Rick?
What about you?
Think you have the numbers for this fight?
Yo mama. Gregory tells the people of the Hilltop not to take arms against the Saviors. Gregory.
What do you have to say to Rick and the Piss Patrol, Gregory?
That he's got a fat belly. Look at that gut in his suspenders. Loser. And those who do take up arms against the Saviors, they and their families will be banished from the Hilltop. Gregory also said that the Hilltop stands with the Saviors. But Jesus shouted at the top of his lungs, the Hilltop stands with Maggie. Aw, tear. Simon starts to get angry with Gregory because the people of the Hilltop won't budge. Then Simon pushes Gregory off the platform, but don't worry, Gregory didn't fall far. The Savior convoy is about to trip the car bomb wire. Morgan hurries into his position and waits for the convoy to get blown to smithereens. Back to the Rick and Negan standoff, Negan is realizing that the battle will ensue. Rick gives Negan's lieutenants the option to surrender. Negan starts to look mad and Rick starts counting down, and then starts to open fire. The rest of the Freedom Fighting Brigade follows suit and they shoot the whole building up. Morgan is walking toward Tara, Carol, and Daryl with a herd of walkers not far behind. The four wish each other luck and part ways, but Carol gives Daryl a hug and tells him to be careful. Daryl checks his hand cannon to make sure that it's loaded, and Maggie gives a signal to retreat. Daryl leads the walkers his way. Daryl uses that hand cannon to shoot strategically placed bombs to detonate them. Rick sees a really good chance to shoot Negan, but he can't really seem to get a good shot. Father Gabriel gives Rick the go-ahead to detonate the RV. Is that Dale's old RV? Dale would have been so proud. Then Negan is limping out of the mess and rubble that Rick gave to him and takes cover. Rick is still dead set on trying to kill Negan, but Negan found a pretty good place to hide out. Looks like he's hiding out in a steel box. Rick is pretty fixated on killing Negan, and he keeps shooting and shooting and shooting at Negan. But Father Gabriel stops Rick, and Rick takes a Polaroid of all of his glory and gives a little devilish smile and takes off in the truck. Father Gabriel was just about to drive off in his own vehicle until he spotted Gregory of the Hilltop. And Father Gabriel, being a man of the cloth, went to go help him. And of course, Gregory, being selfish and a coward, he leaves Father Gabriel behind. Another one rides the bus. Carl goes back to the place where he met the injured hungry man, and leaves him some food and an apology note. King Ezekiel is happy how the battle went. Rick and Daryl are waiting for Father Gabriel, but they can't wait any longer. Morgan is talking to Diane about taking out Savior guards with arrows. Rick and Daryl go to invade this sanctuary. Carol is leading a team to the Pause or Pays Industrial Research Facility. The team opens fire on the Savior that was guarding the facility. Once the team ceased fire, the Savior greeted the team with a grenade. The blast from the grenade attracted the herd of walkers. Father Gabriel is trying to get away from the herd of walkers. And Father Gabriel does find a safe place to hide, but guess who is already in there? You guessed it. Good old Negan. An exciting episode. Back to Old Man Rick. Judith is a few years older in this scene, and she's talking about a party. Michonne mentions to Rick that the people are taking the festival extremely serious. Judith tells Rick that there's a big owl outside, and Judith and Rick walk outside to see a really peaceful neighborhood. I'm not sure if the Old Man Rick is his fantasy or if it's really in the future, but I'm pretty sure we'll find out later on in the season. Thanks so much for watching. I had a really good time making this video for you, and please subscribe and there will be more videos coming your way.